Even today, James Rees's Swiss cheese model is still the primary way of understanding how do incidents happen, how do organisations manage themselves in order to prevent incidents, and how to predict where incidents are likely to happen in future. The Swiss cheese model tells us that barriers are put in place by the organisation through people, processes, procedures and equipment to prevent hazards, e.g. combustible fuels, from becoming incidents, such as fires and explosions. It's when those barriers fail that an incident happens. Tripod tells us why those barriers fail. The immediate cause of a barrier failure is almost always an action or inaction of a person or group of people, whether that happened closely in time to the barrier failure itself or sometime in the past. But to err is to be human. There are situational and psychological circumstances and precursors that make it less or more likely for someone to make errors or violations. We call these error or violation promoting conditions, sometimes called performance influencing factors. These are things such as tiredness, stress, bad procedures, lack of training, poor lighting, time pressure. All these things are likely to lead to errors or violations. But where do these preconditions come from? Some are just part of human nature. Perhaps they're part of the person's personality, or perhaps their competence level. Some are part of the operating environment, and some are created by the organisation itself. In any case, it's the organisation's responsibility to manage these preconditions through its policies, leadership and culture. These are the underlying causes or root causes of incidents. Therefore, we now know how incidents happen. Incidents happen because an organisation creates error or violation promoting conditions that influences the person to take action or inaction that causes barriers to fail, and these result in accidents, incidents, and business upsets. In Tripod Beta, we model this causation path using a diagram called a tripod tree. Tripod Beta was created after the 1988 Piper Alpha accident. Tripod is an incident analysis method for identifying barrier failures, immediate causes and underlying causes of incidents. It's based on solid, established academic theory. Tripod Beta combines three theories of how incidents happen: the Swiss cheese model, the tripod theory, and the GEMS model of human failure. Tripod is made of threes. There are three corners of a trio that tell you what happened during an incident. There are three levels of causation: the immediate cause, the preconditions, and underlying cause. Tripod is made up of three academic theories: the Swiss cheese model, the tripod theory, and the GEMS model. And a tripod tree tells three parts of a story: what happened, how did it happen, and why did it happen. A tripod beta investigation is iterative. This means that the investigator conducts the analysis of the incident at the same time as the investigation, using the investigation to build the model of the incident and the model to help guide where to investigate next. But generally speaking, there are 3 steps to a tripod investigation. 1, what happened? 2, how did it happen? And 3, why did it happen? The starting point of any investigation is to ask what event is being investigated. In tripod, this end event is represented by a red event symbol. In tripod, we create a simple trio to explain the happenings leading up to that event. We break down the event itself into its simplest parts. Often these parts are found in the wording of the event itself. We call these parts the agent of change and the object. Firstly, what was the thing, the equipment or the person that was injured, damaged, or otherwise changed during the event? The clue is often in the wording of the event itself. In this case, driver injures back. Presumably before the event, the driver was uninjured. We can therefore say that the driver is the object in this case. He was the object that was injured during the event. Next, we need to work out what was the hazard, the energy or the force that acted upon the object, upon that driver, that resulted in that person becoming injured. Again, the clue is sometimes in the wording of the event. Driver injures back as a result of vehicle rollover. In this case, it was the force of the vehicle rolling over that caused the driver to injure his back. We can call this the agent of change. It's the force that acted upon the object during the incident to create the unwanted event. In tripod, we have a number of tests that we can use to determine whether the analysis is going in the right direction. One of these is called the language test, and it's used to test whether a trio is correct, whether it correctly models the incident. The test goes like this. Agent acts on object, results in event. This should make logical sense, but not necessarily grammatical sense. So ask yourself, could that agent acting upon that object result in that outcome, that event? So let's try it in the previous example. Vehicle rolls over, acts on the driver, and this results in the driver injuring his or her back as a result of the vehicle rollover. Does this make sense? Yes, it does. Most incidents can be modeled with just a few trios. By exploring those objects or agents that are unusual occurrences, we can create a complete model of the sequence of events during an incident. Once we've built a model of what happened during an incident, we now need to explain how the incident happened. We know from the Swiss cheese model that there should have been barriers in place to prevent the incident. Therefore, the next step in creating a tripod tree is to see what barriers should have been in place and whether or not they worked to prevent the incident. In our example, we identified two barriers. The pedestrian could have worn snow boots, which may have prevented them from slipping over. The snow could have also been cleared away before the pedestrian was put in danger. Both of these are failed barriers. If either of them were effective, then the incident would not have happened or would have been mitigated. Tripod theory tells us that barriers fail because of human action or inaction. It's best practice to identify the human act that caused the barrier to fail, as this will help us get to the underlying causes of the incident. The act is usually close to the incident in terms of time, i.e. immediately before the incident, but sometimes it took place a long time ago, e.g. a maintenance error that took weeks to cause an issue. Taking the example barrier on the right, we first identify the immediate cause. The immediate cause is often just the opposite of the barrier. We may have identified a person's action or inaction as the immediate cause of the incident, but that doesn't mean that they are to blame. Many investigations stop here, but Tripod Beta encourages us to further investigate. Human actions are the result of errors, mistakes, lapses, or slips, or violations. We therefore need to understand the situational or environmental influences that made it more likely for that person to do what they did. What factors could have affected this person's behaviour? Only investigation will tell us, but there are a number of possibilities. In our example, perhaps the person doesn't own any snow boots. Perhaps he was distracted and forgot to put them on. Perhaps he didn't know that he had to wear them. In our investigation, we find that the person doesn't own any snow boots. This is what we call a precondition. We can rarely be 100% sure that a precondition definitely caused that person to do what they did. We connect preconditions to immediate causes using a dotted line to show that this is only a probability relationship. There can be more than one precondition for every immediate cause. We know that preconditions are created or not controlled by the organization. We now need to investigate deeper to uncover what was lacking about the organization's culture, its leadership, or its management system. In this case, we found out that the company does not have a policy to provide its employees with all the necessary equipment. What makes this an underlying cause? Well, the answer is that theoretically, this can be the cause of many incidents even in different parts of the company in completely different situations. Using these 3 steps, what happened, how did it happen, and why did it happen, we can build a complete tripod tree, a model of the entire incident, complete with failed barriers and underlying causes identified. Tripod beta differs to many other incident investigation and analysis methods. There are 3 variants of incident analysis methodologies: event analysis, barrier analysis, and root cause analysis. Tripod beta does all 3. As an organization, it is likely that you manage the safety and integrity of your operations using a safety management system. It's also likely that that safety management system is based upon barrier-based safety and the Swiss cheese model. Tripod beta specifically identifies barriers that failed during the incident. Tripod is also grounded in barrier-based thinking and the Swiss cheese model, and is completely compatible with other methodologies such as bow tie analysis. Tripod beta is an advanced methodology. While anyone can use the method itself, tripod beta is a new way of thinking for most people, and it takes a certain level of competency to be done well. The Tripod Foundation accredits users of the tripod beta methodology to 3 levels: bronze practitioners, silver practitioners, and gold practitioners. To become a bronze practitioner, you must complete an accredited tripod beta practitioner training course. Courses are held globally by independent accredited trainers, listed on the Tripod Foundation website. Those planning on being lead investigators or have been heavily involved in investigation should consider becoming full tripod beta practitioners. The accreditation process is a learning exercise. You will get feedback on your incident reports from highly competent and highly experienced accident investigators. It will help you to refine your usage of tripod beta.